Here now with Ray Longo. He's the owner of the Ray Longo International Mixed Martial Arts Academy here in Garden City, New York. Ray, good to have you here.
Thank you very much. Good to see you, man.
So what's your background in fighting?
Fighting, I've been training fighters probably for the last 20 years. I've had kickboxing champions, Thai boxing champions, Golden Gloves champions, and obviously with Matt mixed martial arts champions now. So I've been probably training people, I'm going to say, for a minimum of 20 years.
How many martial arts are you proficient in right now?
I might not be proficient in any right now. I don't think anybody really, I mean, you're always striving to get better and better, but my focus now really is on training, not even on caring about myself at this point. I mean, I try to stay fresh with everything, but I'm not looking to even get proficient at anything at this point.
How did you first meet Matt and Nick Serra?
I met Matt and Nick at, we were in the basement of Oishi Judo Club where we started taking, I guess we were all in the same jiu-jitsu class when Craig Kukoc first came to New York. I guess he left California, he was with Horry and Gracie, and he opened up, he was the first guy to start teaching jiu-jitsu in Manhattan, and we all went, and that's where we met.
Now, you were coach as well on the Ultimate Fighter Season 6 with Matt Serra and Pete Sell.
Mm-hmm.
What was the environment like there? Did you actually spend any time in the house?
Oh yeah, sure, yeah, we spent, I mean, the guys, we'd go over, we'd watch fights at the house, and a couple of times we'd go over just to grab something to eat and have a couple of drinks with the guys that weren't fighting. And that was it, but I think at least we saw at least 2 fights at the house, and if it was somebody's birthday, we'd go over, so we were there a couple of times, not a lot, but a couple of times.
Did any of that drama from inside the house ever spill over into the training times?
Drama, give me like when they were fighting at the house.
Yeah, any bad stuff went on in the house.
Yeah, you gotta remember when they're at the house, they're living together. When they're at the training, everybody's separate. So you're not really gonna. It would have to be internal drama, and there might have been a couple of little things who was bitching about who, but nothing, no drama like from the house, because like again they were separated. They had I think a 9 to 11 spot, and we had a 12 to 2 spot. And then at nighttime they had an early afternoon, and we had a 7 to 9 spot. So we were always missing each other. So we would hear about some of the drama, and that's where it ended for that.
Now that season, who was your pick to win the show?
I had George Soteropoulos picked to win the show.
All right. As far as having a traditional martial arts background, would you say it's a necessity to have that going to mixed martial arts? Does it help to have that background, or do you not really need it?
Traditional martial arts? I mean, I really don't have a traditional martial arts. I'm really a Jeet Kune Do practitioner, so Jeet Kune Do in nature is very non-traditional. I mean, we were boxing and Thai boxing when I started learning the art back in the 80s, before you even saw anybody doing any of that stuff out here. So I think I had an early jump on the Thai boxing and just different ways of training. The way they were training out in California, I thought was really, really progressive as far as where traditional martial arts were. And that was already the 80s. I'm sure in the 70s it was even more of a, you saw it more than as time went on. But so I really, I mean, early on I had a Kung Fu background. I'm 13 at that time. But my basis when I started everything, I'm going to say, was Jeet Kune Do. So you always were boxing, you were kicking, you were wrestling. So and you were always looking to come up with different stuff. You weren't stuck. There was no forms. So it was a progressive mentality. So when the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu came around, it was really just a natural progression for me to jump in there and do it.
How has the world of martial arts changed since you first started till today?
Man, that's I think it changed. That's one way. I mean, man, I'll tell you, what the biggest difference was, I'm going to say, is that years ago, even if there was a school in the neighborhood, I'm talking about years ago, I'm talking about 1973, 74, I mean, you would have martial arts schools where they would black out the windows. So they didn't want you seeing anything. They didn't give a crap about getting business. So obviously, you didn't see a lot of big business. But it was really, you were always told, don't even tell anybody you're training in martial arts. So I said it's the biggest difference is, then, when the kids got involved and it started becoming a little more commercialized, you wanted to get people in there because it was a business. So I think when I first started training, it was I'm going to say it was more secretive. Not that it was what you were learning was secretive, but I mean I don't think anybody gave a crap about the business end of it. You know what I mean? Or it didn't appear that way. Not like it is today. So and obviously, you know, just, you know, getting rid of the forms and, you know, hitting a pair of focus mitts at one time was considered huge, you know, which is considered, you know, you have to do it today. It's like an ordinary thing. But, you know, what was considered really special back then is just everyday now. You know, even blending the arts, you know what I mean? So, you know, you would do, if you were a traditional karate guy, you weren't hitting focus mitts, you were doing forms, you weren't kicking tie pads, you didn't even know what tie pads were. You know, so that really, I think, is another huge thing. It's just the use of the training equipment, and I'm going to say with videotapes and the use of the internet, you know, being able to see how different people train all over the world is a huge thing. You know, when I started training, you know, you'd have to look at a magazine, and you know how that goes. And, you know, if somebody fought in Thailand, you'd find out 8 months later because there was no communication. You had to wait for the magazine to come out. There was always a delay. And, you know, but I mean, that's years ago. At that point, you know, if you got an injury, you put heat on it first. You know, now everybody knows to ice it first. But, you know, things just change and evolve, and that's where we're at with martial arts now. I think if you're still doing I would find it hard to believe if you were doing a traditional martial arts, unless you were into the history and that's what you wanted to do. But from a fighting standpoint, I mean, you really have to know all ranges of fighting, and you have to stick with the arts that are been proven to be efficient in all of those ranges.
Coming up in May, we have Matt Serra taking on Matt Hughes. Without giving away a strategy, what's the game plan so far?
Game plan is just be in good shape. That's the game plan right now.
All right. What are your personal thoughts on Matt Hughes?
You know, I think he did what he had to do in the UFC. I think we give him a lot of respect. You know, good wrestler. I think he was great for the sport. I think he's probably on his way out now. He's, you know, I think he's accomplished a lot, and I'm sure he's looking for this as his last hurrah, and we'll see what happens. But, you know, whatever. He's, you know, not a bad guy.
Are you guys preparing any differently for this fight as opposed to other fights?
Well, I mean, once we get close to the fight, you know, we're always you're always going to look at tapes and prepare differently. So right now, again, the objective is to get Matt in shape, and we'll start looking at the tapes of Matt Hughes, and you know, we have a pretty good idea where we want to go. And looks like he's been switching southpaw a lot recently, so yeah, that's not going to be a problem.
All right, now let's talk a little bit about this gym here. Now, how long has this academy been here?
I'm at this location, I'm going to say maybe a year and a half, approaching 2 years. We have the ring, we have an octagon, we have a lot of heavy bag, speed bag, a lot of strongman equipment, the tire, the sledgehammer, sleds to push and pull, ropes. I think basically any type of training you want that way. You know, a lot of free weights, kettlebells, you know, Versa climbers. You know, the curriculum is basically a stand-up curriculum. You know, we do a lot of boxing, Thai boxing, kickboxing, and we do have some wrestling classes now. We added, you know, again, Chris Weidman, who's a 4-time All-American, has been doing a wrestling class, so we've been blending that in a little bit. So it's great to have him, and then we put it all together in the ring. We do, you know, all the sparring for all the fights takes place here because we have the cage.
So who are some of the names we should watch out for now that are coming out in the MMA world?
We have Chris Weidman. He's a 4-time All-American. He looks awesome in the gym. He's a beast. We have Costa Filippo. He's a pro boxer. He's, I think, 4-1 now in mixed martial arts. His ground game's getting better and better each week. We have this kid Al Iaquinta. He's like 14-0 as an amateur. This kid's phenomenal. He's hands, feet, ground, wrestling. This guy puts it all together. I look really for him to do a lot of damage at 155. We have Nabi. He's an up-and-coming pro. We have Anthony Abatelli. He's going to make his pro debut. He's undefeated as an amateur also. So there's a couple of guys, you know, coming up now. Of course, and you know, you have Drago and Luke and Matt and you know the rest of those guys.
All right. This is Ray Longo from Ray Longo International Mixed Martial Arts Academy.
All right, thanks
for having me. This video was brought to you by Boston Brawler. Whether you're a fan of the Yanks or the Sox, you can't deny good designs. Check out bostonbrawler.com.